Yeah, we about to go live.
That's all right. As long as you ain't slow down.
Act like you got them skate. 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 Go live, I'm finna go live. 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 Go live, I'm finna go live.
What's up, everybody? Hey, welcome back to Coach Hayes Football, Coach Hayes Football Live. Today is a super exciting episode. I have to tell you, man, I am so excited, not even just to do this segment, but actually to have the guys that I have coming on this segment as well. All right, as you know, we are talking about Alabama, the Nick Saban era. Okay, and we got some guys that are super knowledgeable. I mean, I don't think it's one thing they don't know about Alabama to probably why they got the Crimson and why they named the Crimson Tide and why it's an elephant. I don't know, but we're going to find out tonight. So with all that being said, I'm going to give guys a few moments to log on in because I know there's a little bit of delay of what's going on, and I see people are pouring in right now. Please, if you are watching this on Facebook, make sure you start a watch party. Okay, for us, so we can get this thing rolling. We really want to roll with the Tide tonight, as well as YouTube. Please share out the link, put it in a group chat, so whatever you're in, share the link out. Come on here. We're really willing to take all of comments, and we're going to look at the comments, ask the guys questions. Whatever needs to be done, we're going to make it happen. But, again, we got quite a few good people rolling in. I see the numbers jumping, so that's great. We're going to take a few moments here before we kind of get started. Also, in the comment section, please give me a thumbs up or a quick comment that says everything sounds good from audio and video, so I know in case I have to make any adjustments, I can do so. All right, really quickly while we're waiting, right here, Sherry Bevan says, roll Tide. Stephen Williams, roll Tide, roll. Drewski, rolleth. I never heard that one before. Rolleth. I'm loving it. All right, and Joe Khaleesi, let's go. You're right. We about to get started here in a few seconds. We got quite a few people in. Well, let me go ahead and just say this to you while I go ahead and get started. As you all know, I do videos, the WRE, which stands for Watch, React, and Evaluate. And I do that to all of the top talent across the nation, where I kind of give my 2 cents about their talent, the pros and cons, what they do well and things that they don't do well. And so I do that. I drop videos every day except for Sunday. And please make sure you do that now. Go ahead and subscribe and watch and share those things out. But I said all that to simply say, as I was doing these videos, these gentlemen I'm talking about now that's going to be our special guest kind of reached out to me. And I did a couple of videos on some Alabama commits. And, man, let me tell you something. We have formed a friendship and a relationship that is awesome. And we kind of talk a little bit off the air a lot about a lot of different things about recruits. I've actually had the opportunity to be on their podcast, which you can listen to on TideTalkSports.com as well. And they're on Twitter and everything else, just searching Tide Talk Sports. And it's just been an amazing relationship here over the past couple of months. So let me go ahead and do this and start introducing some of these guys right now so we can hear a little bit about them. And I'm going to let them really introduce themselves because I don't want to disrespect them by leaving some very important information out. So I'm going to start off with my man here. His name is Ricky Green, and he is part of Tide Talk Sports. Ricky, what's happening, man?
What's up, Coach? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm cool as creek water, you know.
I'm loving that. Cool as creek water. Man, look here. That's an Alabama thing. If I ain't never heard one, I'm loving it.
That's right. That's right.
So, Ricky, talk to us, man, a little bit about yourself and how you became an Alabama fan briefly.
Alabama fan, it's been a lifetime thing. You know, just something I got from my dad, my grandparents, always been Roll Tide around here. Just something that we've always loved. I started kind of getting into the football and recruiting analysis thing a couple years back. Always been real big into following recruiting. So had an opportunity to start covering it for Touchdown Alabama magazine. Was the first place that I wrote for. Learned a lot. Had this opportunity to come up with Stacy and Jake and the guys at Team Tide Talk. And when I saw the opportunity, I jumped on it. This is a great group of guys. Man, we just have a blast covering Alabama athletics and talking recruiting. Really just enjoying doing what we love to do. So
That's great, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Thank you very much, man, for making this show, and it's going to be a memorable one, I guarantee. Let me go ahead and bring in the next gentleman. All right, the next gentleman we're bringing in right now. Okay, his name is Stacy Blackwood. Now he is going to come on in and tell us what it is and how he became an Alabama fan and how he became to doing what he's doing now. Stacy, what's going on?
What's up, Coach? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Talk to us.
Well, I guess my fandom started from my dad. He started introducing me to Alabama football in the mid-'90s. We started watching that '92 championship game over and over again between your beloved Hurricanes and our Crimson Tide. So that's how it all got started. Then I really fell in love with it during the Sean Alexander years when he was there carrying the rock for the Tide in the late '90s, and it's just carried on from there. And Jake, me and him started the Tide Talk podcast a couple of years back, and it's just kind of grown into, we wanted to start doing some articles, and neither one of us are really good at writing. So we put it out that we were looking for some writers, and we got fortunate to get some of the best in the business. And you're going to see those guys here in just a minute.
All right, man. That's perfect, man. Let me go ahead and bring in the next guy. Thank you, Stacy, so much for coming on, and I really appreciate you coming on. All right, next, we're going to bring in a guy named Jake Thomas. He's part of the Tide Talk Sports as well. Jake, talk to us. What's going on?
Hey, Coach. Glad to be here.
I'm loving it, man. So talk to us. How did you become an Alabama fan?
Well, most of our viewers and our friends that cover us and watch us know that Stacy and I are cousins, and it kind of went along with that. I would go over to their house every Saturday, watch Alabama football, and our love just grew from there. My love for Alabama football grew from there. I loved Sean Alexander as well. And so, yeah, I've been through the ups and downs, and, there was some downs, but, man, it sure is up right now. And we're glad to be here. We're glad to talk about it. And we're just glad to, be here tonight with you, sir.
Man, well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It really is a pleasure, man. I thank you so much. And I'm going to bring in the next guest real quick. All right, so next coming up is Mr. Hunter Letson. Hunter, how you doing, man?
How's it going, Coach? Thanks for having us.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, man. So talk to us real quick. How did you become an Alabama fan?
Well, I was actually raised by Barners, so I was an Auburn fan coming up till around high school age. I decided I want to go to Alabama. Like Stacy mentioned earlier, I was a big Sean Alexander fan back in the day. So I wasn't born into it, but I've been accepted, and there's nothing else I love more.
Nothing else you love more. So is it a roll tide everywhere you go?
It's a roll tide around the world and back.
I heard that, man. Well, guess what, Hunter? I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next guest. Listen, it seems like it's never going to stop, but these guys are really good. So I'm going to go ahead and get the next guy on. All right. And last but not least at all, all right, we have Mr. Lane Gerbig. Lane, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Talk to us. How did you become an Alabama fan?
Man, it's long lineage of Alabama fans. My dad, my grandpa, my uncle. We got a long history of Alabama football.
I got you. Now, is that something that, like, on Saturdays you guys get around the television? You guys get to everybody's house? How does that work?
Usually back in the day, me and my dad would always go to games like, when I was 5, 6, about the age to start where he thought I could start going to some games. That's about the time I started going to them. I went to about 5, 6 a year, and pretty much just continued it into adulthood, and I plan to do the same with my children.
All right, man. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Well, really quick, I'm going to go ahead and bring the rest of these guys on back in. And like I said, man, we're going to have a very interesting conversation about Alabama, the Nick Saban era, and how everything started, what it was, what it is, and what it's going to be coming to the future. So let me go ahead and bring these guys back in right quick. All right, man. So we got the Tide Talk Sport guys here, man, real quick. Before we get started, so I know you guys work together. So talk to us, Stacy. How did you guys come about with the whole TideTalkSports.com and the podcast and so forth?
Well, actually, a couple of years ago, Jake and myself decided to start a podcast, and we were going to try to cover all the sports. And we found out that most of the listeners were actually Alabama fans, and Alabama is what we love. So we said, to heck with covering everything. Let's just talk about the Tide. So we come up with the Tide Talk podcast, and just kind of went from there. The podcast continued to grow. Our following on Twitter and on social media just continued to grow, and we decided we wanted to get some written content out there. So we put the word out, and guys like Ricky and Lane reached out, and Hunter, and we're fortunate to have those guys writing for our website, and they do a great job for that. And we appreciate those guys hopping on board with us. Kind of at our premature age. We're still young, and we're in the incubator, I guess you could say. But I think we got some bright days ahead, and we're just happy that all these guys are on board with us.
All right, great. So Hunter, talk to us a little bit about your involvement with Tide Talk. What is it that you do?
Well, I mainly cover baseball, softball, lesser followed sports, women's gymnastics, and basketball, but I also help out with men's basketball, football whenever they need me or whenever I can. So since I'm on campus, I work on campus, I live here, so I'm a lot closer, and it's kind of easier for the underappreciated sports.
Hey, but guess what? They all matter at the end of the day. That's what it counts, man. And Jake, talk to us about your involvement, your role in Tide Talk Sports.
I guess just to be vice president. I was talking to Rick the other day. He's got to teach me how to get on and do the writing and stuff, writing articles, because I haven't been able to do it yet. But
we got you, Jake.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just around right now just to hang out and enjoy the content that's been put out. But I'll start putting some stuff out once I figure out how this technology works.
Hey, trust me, don't feel bad, man. Listen, I YouTube everything. I got like 75 degrees from YouTube right now because I don't learn how to from fix my car to learn how to put this whole broadcast together straight off YouTube. So don't feel bad, Jake. Trust me. All right, and then Lane, talk to us about your role and your involvement in Tide Talk Sports. All right, maybe you didn't hear me. So
I guess you could consider me an all sports writer. I like to focus on football, but I also I guess I got a delay on my audio. Sorry about that. I like to write for all the sports, but I do like football most of all. But I wouldn't consider myself a football only Gump is a term we like to use around here. But I just like to focus on all of them, give them each attention.
I heard that. And Ricky, talk to us, man. What's up with you? Now, this is who I met when I first started this, and he kind of reached out to me. So I actually talked to him a little bit more than I talked to the other guys. But talk to us, Ricky. And I've actually had a chance to do a couple of podcasts on the show with Ricky. So talk to us, Ricky, about your involvement with Tide Talk Sports.
My mainstay, my focus is, of course, football recruiting. It's what I've always focused on. Real quick, though, before I get into all that, I'm going to explain this Gump thing to you a little bit here, Coach. So among Alabama fans, we belovingly call each other Gumps, fans of the Crimson Tide. And there's tiers, there's levels to this game. These guys don't want to toot their own horns, so I'll toot them for them a little bit. But you have got a room full of Tier 1 Gumps here right now. So these guys, the Crimson definitely runs deep. Hunter covers everything from rowing to whatever you can imagine. If he's out in right field in the baseball stadium there in Tuscaloosa, he gets it done. Jake and Stacy have a really good, solid knowledge of Alabama football and the history thereof and our program and our great tradition that we have. And Lane is a very talented writer. I just got a few minutes today to scroll through few of the stories that you'd written lately there, Lane, and that stuff. It was on point with, anything that I've seen anywhere else on the internet. So got a really good group of guys here. And I think that this is something that, in the future we can really have a good shot at building this brand. And again, we appreciate you having us here with you tonight, Coach.
No, man, anytime, guys. Like I said, I always believe in helping each other, and that's actually what we're doing. And it's going to be a great relationship, friendship, and partnership, I guess, like it's lack for a better term. So let me go on and get into the meat of this thing, because we, believe it or not, just introductions. We 17 minutes into this joker already, man. Wow. So we got quite a few numbers. I tell you, trust me, doing this, the time rolls, and believe it or not, it'll be before you know it. So with all that being said, let me go in and jump into what we're talking about. We're talking about Alabama, okay? We're talking about the Nick Saban era, what it was prior to him coming, so kind of pre-past, then the past, present, and then the future. And so that's kind of where we're going to go with this whole conversation. And before we do that, let me just say, for any new listeners out there, please make sure you watch, comment, subscribe, pass it on, share this thing out. And if you are on Facebook, please make sure you start a watch party. Let's get this thing through the roof. Comments are rolling in left and right, and I really appreciate it. So let me go ahead and get started with this. As we know, Coach Nick Saban, you know, he started out, he was at Kent State in the whole 9 yards, and I'm really going to kind of get into maybe his coaching career. So he went on into Toledo, and you know, I had to take a couple notes because, as Ricky said, I'm a Kane, or Stacy said, I'm a Kane fan. So I did have to take a couple notes here. I know a lot, but there's some things I don't want to embarrass myself. So I know he went on to Toledo. He took over the Toledo job, and I think that job before they were 6-5. He turned them around to a 9-2. Record. And believe this or not, here's a little fun fact now. Urban Meyer applied to be on his staff, and he turned him down. And I didn't know that. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Hold up.
Didn't either.
One for Coach Hayes. Here we go.
Got him.
I'll keep it count. All right. So he was there. He was there at Toledo for a year, ended up with the Browns as the defensive coordinator for 4 years under Coach Bill Belichick, who's the head coach now of the New England Patriots. But then went on for 4 years at Michigan State. And I believe personally that's kind of where he made his mark and who he was as a college coach. And I really think there was a young man he recruited back then. His name is Cedric Irvin out of Miami, who was a running back, who actually turned that program around, because I think Michigan State was, you know, wasn't in great shape. I'm gonna say like that. I don't want to disrespect anybody's program, but just saying they weren't in great shape at that time. And Cedric Irvin, who I actually know, he's from Miami, but he actually helped turn that program around and got him on. Now he went from there to LSU. So he was at LSU and he ended up winning the Natty, right? Winning the national championship in 2003, okay, over Oklahoma in 21-14. And then he left and came to my beloved Miami Dolphins. All right. So, and if you know anything about Miami, fans up, baby, I'm a Dolphin fan. All right. And that's DOLFAN. I am a Dolphin fan. And so he was at the Miami Dolphins, and this is kind of where things take a turn. I don't need the paper anymore. Get that crap out of here. I know what's going on from there. All right, so here we are. So dealing with my Dolphins, man, he's there for a while. You know, I'm going to just say this a little bit, and I'm going to kind of make a parallel between the Dolphins and you guys come in and talk about kind of before he got there. So he's with the Dolphins. I know he struggled a little bit. They ended up having a good stretch at the end. But I'm going to just say this and kind of get it out the way. I think that Nick Saban didn't do well in college. In the NFL, because maybe the kind of coach he is, you know, where he's a controlling guy and you're dealing with NFL guy. You're dealing with grown men. You're dealing with 30-something-year-old men, not 18 or 22-year-old young men. And I think that became a challenge and kind of a tug of war over control. And I think that's what really gave him a hard time in the NFL, because I have had some guys that played for Nick Saban before, and I've heard plenty of stories, and I'll leave those for another episode, so far as even Dwayne Bowe that played off LSU and Terrell McGill that played at LSU, so forth and so on. But anyhow, so we get to the part. All right, here we go, guys. We're going to jump into this thing here first now. So we get into the part where the whole rumor mill is spinning, right? Everybody's kind of, the media's pressuring him. Well, are you going to Alabama? Are you going to Alabama? And he adamantly says, no, I'm not going to Alabama. Okay. So I'm going to put a pin in that point, and then I want to go to you guys, you know, not everybody at once, kind of talk about previously before he made his decision in the middle of the night to go into Alabama. What was the state of the program then? Jake?
Not great.
Okay.
It wasn't great at all. It's everybody knows what happened in the Sheila years, and before that, we had the Bows, which we had some good teams there, but you could see it kind of trickling down effect there. Then Franchione come in, had a couple good teams, but you could still see just something wasn't right. Then everybody knows about Mike Price. Then we had Sheila. Sheila had that one great year, and but he was just kind of like a filler. It felt like until somebody would come in and change that program around, and just so happened Mount Moore got a hold of Nick Saban, and I believe he wanted Nick Saban from the get-go. He was not going to let him go until Saban, I guess, went face-to-face with him and told him, no, I do not want this job, because the rest is history. We know what happened.
Okay, anybody else?
I'll say, Coach, we talked a little bit about it earlier this afternoon. Shula, man, even though we didn't get where we wanted to be as a program, you still got to respect the guy for taking a job that nobody wanted to take.
Really?
Absolutely.
The talent level was as low as it had been. Of course, like Jake said, we had a couple of guys that could make plays, but it wasn't up to the standard that had been set before by guys like Bear Bryant and Gene Stallings. Everybody in the Alabama fan base knew what we were capable of being as a program. And I think when Mal Moore got on that jet and went down to Florida and basically said, I'm not coming back with Nick Saban, I knew when they announced in December 2007 that this thing was fixing to get shook all the way up real soon.
All right. So now let me ask you this in that process. So you talked about it was a job nobody wanted. Let me just kind of go back real quickly, and then we're going to move this thing forward. Why was the talent level so low? Being Alabama, having the name that it has, having the prestige that it has, how did it get to that point?
Well, we had some trouble there with the NCAA. We had some sanctions brought against us. We had some reduced scholarship numbers. Of course, now, not being an Alabama fan, you may not fully understand this, but I 100% place the blame for that on Philip Fulmer up at Tennessee. And I'll never forget it. It was his fault. He blew the whistle, and Alabama suffered a mediocre decade because of it. So,
yeah, well, as they say, man, look, it takes a forever to build a championship thing. It takes a day to knock it down, man. So it's not hard to do. Now, here's my other little thing, and I know you guys probably know that because I think Jake was mentioning that it was a job no one wanted. And at this time, there was a hot guy out there right now, Rich Rodriguez, right? He was doing big things out there, West Virginia. He had the green and red wristband and everything was flying around and putting up points and so forth, and did a great job at West Virginia. But he even turned down the Alabama job. So, I mean, like I said, for a guy and Nick Saban had
that's right.
Well, he ended up going to Michigan, I want to say, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with all that being said, I mean, so Nick Saban does this, and he gets on a helicopter in the middle of the night and he leaves my Dolphins out the water, I guess, out the water. But I'm going to say this is my last part. I know there was a huge story about the Miami Dolphins. I forget the guy's name, and I'm looking at the article right now as we speak. But Nick Saban was so intense that he ripped into this. I want to say it was a defensive lineman. He ripped into his behind. Please leave in the comment section if you know what I'm talking about. He ripped into the defensive lineman's behind so bad, had this grown man in tears. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I'm kind of saying. I think there was a clash of or a struggle in control or power when you're dealing in the NFL versus when you're dealing in college and dealing with young men versus grown men. Okay, so say all that. Nick Saban leaves. He comes there. Talk us through the first season, Hunter. Coming in.
2007 was pretty rough. I would say the highlight was the Tennessee game. I don't remember the score, but I feel like we won 48-0.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, that Rammer Jam felt like it. The Florida State game in Jacksonville was the worst game ever.
Ooh.
Well, it was until we lost to Louisiana Monroe a couple.
I was there.
Right.
Yeah.
The Independence Bowl was cold but fun, and I think we started off on a 6-game win streak, and then we went downhill from there, and it was just like
Right.
Fell to pieces.
Yeah, we're looking at Clemson starting the next year, and there wasn't much hope. But then we started hearing about Mark Ingram and Julio Jones and
Dante Hightower.
Yeah, those guys. And we get to that game in Atlanta in 2008. It's a different animal. It's a different world.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this real quick. Stacy, kind of staying into that very first year quickly. Were the Alabama fans' hopes and dreams kind of shattered and down, especially with that big loss? I'm gonna let you guys say it. I'm not gonna say it.
From my perspective, it wasn't, because I understood the type of talent that we had there was not the type of talent that you needed to have to compete in the SEC. Now, losing to Louisiana Monroe was not acceptable, even with the roster that we had at that point in time. But the season as a whole was kind of understandable. Doing a complete overhaul of the roster and a different type of player, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Back in those days, you ran a legitimate 3-4 defense, and Alabama just did not have those type of players. Especially up front, you have to have a great nose guard and a good middle linebacker, and we just didn't have those type of players. And so, as a whole, I think we kind of understood that it was going to be a process, as Nick Saban so famously says. But that Louisiana Monroe game definitely does stick out, and it still hurts, even 13 years later.
Absolutely.
Now, Jake, is that something that people still kind of tease you, even with all the winning and success you guys have had? Do people still kind of poke the bear with that a little bit?
The people, Barners and stuff, not really. Really, I've done forgot about it, honestly. But I do remember that game vividly because, arguably one of our best players set out the first half, and that really killed momentum offensively. And he come back in the second half, and we scored the 14 points, but it did at that time was terrible, but I think overall we've got out of that, I guess, pit of despair and got to where we are now. So it's brighter times, that's for sure, than what it was back then.
Well, definitely, and I'm gonna just say this: as we move on here. So now, following that season, what was it? 6-5? What was the season record on that year? Do you know? You guys remember? I want to say
7-6.
7-6. Okay. So 7-6. It's still a winning season, but it's not Alabama standard, I guess you can say. But here's the flip side now. One off season, one recruiting season. Ricky, talk to us. What happens the next year?
Well, that class, that first full class for Nick Saban in Alabama, really showed everybody, kind of put the whole college football world on notice that Alabama was coming. Guys, like they mentioned earlier, Julio Jones, Mark Ingram. That was just an incredible class. I remember watching that first game. I think Hunter mentioned it there against Clemson. And, man, just right out of the gate, there was a whole new level of intensity, attention to detail, focus, and determination that we hadn't seen in years as Alabama fans, and it was tangible. You could feel it. It was so real. As soon as that game started, I saw a big, 6'4" Megatron-looking Julio Jones lined up on the outside, had this little young cat, Mark Ingram, in the backfield. I just knew that game, the beginning of that season, I didn't know that we would go 12-0 and ultimately challenge for the SEC championship, Nick Saban's second year at Alabama. But I knew something was different, and I'll be danged if that's not what happened. We ended up 12-0 playing Florida and Tim Tebow for the SEC championship.
Isn't that something, man? That's awesome. So in saying that too now, Ricky, what happens in literally in a matter of months? What happens? Because we know it is talent, we know it is scheme, it's culture. Is it a little bit of everything, or?
Yeah, I believe it is,
what?
but it's the process. Nick Saban has, everybody knows the process is the embodiment of what Nick Saban believes it takes to be a champion. At every level of the program, from the casual fan all the way up to the athletic director, everybody has a role. Everybody knows what they're expected to do. And when Nick Saban put that process into real life and into practice at Alabama, it changed everything.
No, you're 100% correct. I remember seeing him at in a press conference one time. He was ripping the student section for leaving early. You know what I mean? He was getting on them for leaving early. And believe it or not, that's huge, because these guys are playing and they feed off of that energy. Believe it or not, it's like anything else. You know, we can't explain the phenomenon of the momentum meter, right? But when the momentum is rolling, you know, you can hit a 3-point from the other side of the court. We've seen that 100 times. We can see guys catch a ball and tip off somebody's finger. This person tip it, catch at the last second. So I understand what he's talking about. I understand definitely what he's saying right there. And so let's go on into that class. We're talking about the Julio Jones. These were young guys at that time. But think about it. These were freshmen. These were, I mean, 8 months ago, they were playing in their high school stadium. Now they're in a 100,000-seat stadium and making it happen, man. So, yeah, you're 100% right. All right, so now let's take us on now to the present in the sense, and when I say the present, because I think that was kind of the past, right, where they kind of flipped it around, turned it around. I'm going to call the present from the first national championship until the last one that they took would be the present. Talk to us a little bit, Lane, in regards to the present.
Well, the 2009 championship, man, I can't tell you how overjoyed we were to be, you know, watching that and watching Alabama return to greatness the way that, you know, my father used to see them back in the 80s and 70s and all that. When we put Colt McCoy out of that game in 2009 versus Texas in the BCS title game, I just knew that we were going to win. And you'll never hear a Texas fan say that, you know, we would have won if he wouldn't have went out of the game. But
and I think he got put out. I think he got put out. I'm sorry, I know it's a delay between. I think didn't Colt McCoy get put out like the first few plays of the game, like the first 3 or 4 plays of the game?
Yeah.
And I remember his dad running down.
Yeah, he wasn't
he
wasn't in there long.
Yeah.
Marcel Darius.
And Marcel Darius the one who put
him out? Yeah, in that 2009 class, I remember we got, I think that was the year we signed Dre Kirkpatrick. So basically, Saban cemented himself in 2009, in my opinion, as, you know, the most solid recruiter that I think Alabama has ever had. And, you know, the glory years just haven't stopped ever since that 2009 started the momentum train. You know, I mean, it's just been an uphill climb ever since.
Okay, no, so I'm looking here. So he goes in the first season. He goes in at 7-6. You said. Then he comes in 12-0 season. All right, 2009 he has a 14-0 season. Right, and so they win that. And then 2010. So they don't win it in 2010. Talk to us about that a little bit, Stacy.
Yeah, so the 2010 team, you know, you're returning practically the entire offense. The starting quarterback, Greg McElroy, was coming back from the national championship team before, along with Ingram and Julio and, you know, all those guys. And so there was a lot of high expectations. And I believe that that team kind of was listening to the media too much. And you can hear Saban talk about it even today, that they kind of got a little ahead of themselves and took what they took for granted what it took to get to the national championship, and they just kind of came up short. But you kind of saw all the revenge on that whole entire season when they got to the bowl game against Michigan State, and they wore them out, and it was that was kind of the I guess the start of the second chapter of Saban kind of just starting over and installing that just mentality and that culture that we talk about at Alabama in that I think it was the Capital One Bowl there against Michigan State.
Yep.
Got you. And then they come on in, Jake. So they come on in the next year, right? And this is where this thing's starting to roll, right? It wasn't a 1 year fluke. Because, people, you win one, then you don't win one. And then they come back and they win the next. Jake, talk to us about that championship.
Man, that was, that year there was a lot of, there was a lot, of greatness in that year. We had the revenge factor. We opened up as national favorites because I think we had a lot of guys returning. We opened the season 48 on a win, 48-7 over Kent State. And we just went from there. And, it was awesome because, we lost the game against LSU, 9-6. I mean, it was a offensive struggle. But then
the game of the century, as they call it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But we got a rematch with them in the championship game, and we made adjustments. We didn't let them
their ass quit.
50-yard line to I think it was maybe 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and we won that game 21-0. So I mean, it was great to see. So, like you said, it was not a fluke. It was great. It was great.
I got you. Did we cut out? Okay, got you. And then now you come back again, 2012 again. All right. Mm-hmm. You come back 13
back.
Come back to back 13-1. Who was that one lost to?
Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel.
Oh, that's right.
Manziel.
That man.
So you lose to that one there, Ricky. I'm sorry, Hunter. Talk to us in regards to this championship here in 2012.
I still think there was kind of a chip on the shoulders because we didn't win the SEC championship in 2011, and it starts there. You got to win the state, you got to win the West, you got to win the conference, then the national, and I think that kind of drove some people to shoot for another undefeated season. And Johnny Manziel had his magic that night and messed it up, but I just think the revenge from losing to the LSU kept carrying over to win the SEC again.
I got you. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you a little something about that game. So I know they're playing Notre Dame that year in Miami, of course. So I'm in Miami at the time. I know some people that were close to the staff and around the Alabama staff. And so at that time, Notre Dame is staying in Fort Lauderdale, right? Now, I'm not sure a lot of viewers know, but Fort Lauderdale may be 30 minutes or so away from actual Miami, South Beach. Alabama is staying in the Fontainebleau Hotel. Now, if you don't know the Fontainebleau Hotel also has Club Live in it. And if you don't know what Club Live is, that is where all of the rappers rap about. That's where every celebrity goes to party. You understand what I'm saying? And in my mind, I'm saying, who in the world scheduled this? And I know Nick Saban did not know that Club Live, one of the hottest nightclubs in the world, would be in the lobby of his hotel, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm over there again because that's the host hotel. So I'm over there a Sunday night, right? Because the national championship is on what night? Mondays?
Yeah,
right?
Monday.
Monday night. Club Live's hottest night is Sunday night.
Mm.
So we're talking about quite a few people from Lil Wayne to Fat Joe to all these celebrities are out here because it's the place to be. And I said, you know what? Alabama in trouble. Because we're still talking about 18-year-old kids. We're talking about top celebrities. We ain't talking about just a club now. We're talking about the hottest of the hottest that's not only in town in Miami, but they're here for the game. Jay-Z is there. All these people. So anyhow, in my back of my mind, I'm saying, oh, man, these boys in trouble, man. What's going to happen? But Nick Saban being Nick Saban, guess what? I think Alabama went and hired the whole state trooper force, and they had a whole barricade set up across the whole floor. Nobody could get to those guys, man. So it was pretty cool. It was all set up, and it was well done.
I want to say something about that.
Sure.
You know, that team had some really good leaders, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You had veterans like Barrett Jones and A.J. McCarron. They were all in on Alabama. I mean, their entire what they lived for was to win football games for the University of Alabama, and you actually saw that in that game. late when Alabama was up by, I don't know, 28 points or so, and they don't quite get a snap off, and AJ McCarron and Barrett Jones getting a shoving match, when they're up 30 points in the national championship game. It's just the leadership on that team was just. It's probably the best leadership that we've had since Saban has been at Alabama, as far as the players go, and winning just meant everything to them, and doing it the right way meant everything. So it doesn't surprise me that they were able to avoid all the outside factors.
You're 100% correct, and that showed. And I'm saying that I'm glad you brought that point up there too, because it goes to show you, if you don't have leadership, if you can't self patrol, if you can't get the guys to self manage the team, then I don't care how great you are as a coach, you're not around them as much as they're around each other. Let me see. I just saw a very interesting right here. We got a comment real quick. Coach Will Nellums, man, look, this is an Alabama dude too, man. He said it was an early curfew. Coach Will, I bet it was an early curfew.
No doubt.
I bet it was. So Hunter, talk to us a little bit. You said you had something in regards to Navy.
Well, I don't mean to sidetrack here, but you brought it up, so I can't. It's one of my favorite stories ever. I was in the Navy for 6 years. One weekend, we pulled into Miami, and probably a couple dozen of us went out to the Fontainebleau one night. And these guys in suits come up to us, and we're in our dress uniforms and all, and they go, "Hey, Wayne wants to see y'all." And we're like, "Wayne? Who is Wayne?" So a couple of them go, most of us stay. Well, we start getting text messages. They're up in VIP with Lil Wayne. And he said, "Everything the Navy's drinking tonight is on me." And it had to be tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Shout out to Little Wayne, man.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Weezy.
All day, Weezy baby. Please say the baby. Hey, listen, man. I'm telling you, that club right there is jumping. I think it's still jumping today. I don't know. And it is what it is. So let's go ahead and let's go on and knock out to the next one that we have going on. So we talk about Nick Saban. From there, I'm gonna let you guys kind of just tell us in regards to, now we talking about the present and even some of the recruiting that went on.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3, okay, where they start rolling in the recruits left and right. We're talking about number one recruiting classes and so forth. So Ricky, let us know about some of the recruiting classes and how they fared against other people.
Well, recruiting is a staple under Nick Saban. If you work for Coach Nick Saban, you better be able to recruit, or you're going to be looking for a new job sooner rather than later. So he's always had this propensity for rounding up these elite classes. Just year after year, we see the top talent coming into Tuscaloosa, 5-star after 5-star. But what's really so impressive, I guess, to me about Nick Saban from a recruiting aspect is the way that he develops that talent. Nick Saban has more 5-star prospects drafted in the first round than anybody else in college football, and it's not even close. So not just, getting those recruits on campus, but the development that takes place from the time they get to the capstone to the time that they either graduate or enter their name in the draft and decide to move on. It's just incredible to me. We're even sitting here now in the present looking at another incredible run in recruiting. Coach, you've done some videos lately about some of these cats that are committed to Alabama for the current 2021 class. It's just never ending. Nick Saban recruits the best talent and then does one of the best jobs at developing them while they're on campus. And I think that's really what keeps him so far ahead. Is his development of those elite kids once he gets them on campus.
Exactly. And I have to say, man, I've had many dealings with Coach Saban in recruiting and everything like that. I'm going to put a thing up here real quick, a comment. Demetrius Pate says, we have had more first-rounders since Saban has been there.
That's right.
All right, that's pretty cool. But let me ask you a question. Now, you've said this before, this term, and I don't know what it means, so forgive me. What is the capstone? You said that before while we were talking. What is that to viewers that may not know? Maybe I'm missing something.
Hunter, you want to grab that?
So the University of Alabama is the capstone of higher education. So it's just kind of a thing we refer to ourselves to. We're the capstone. So
I love it. Well, I have never heard that. You know, I heard a lot of things from, and I'm not trying to be funny, but Bama, Yellowhammer, Alabama. I done heard all type of stuff since I started doing these videos. So
Rammer Jammer.
There you go, man.
Jammer, Yellowhammer.
Say it for me, Jake.
Rammer Jammer, Yellowhammer, give 'em hell, Alabama.
That's it.
There you go, man. I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Coach Will Nelson says, preach, Richie, preach. All right, man. So now let's get into this part here. We're in 2013, okay? So now we hit 2013. We're playing the game, all right? And somebody have to explain this to me. We get to the Iron Bowl.
Now we're going to skip this one.
Yeah. Can we just fast forward that?
Can't do it, man. Can't do it. So let's get to the Iron Bowl. And I'm going to tell you why I remember it so well, because I had a kid that played on that team named Robinson Therese that played on the Auburn team.
Yep.
And he was heavily recruited by Nick Saban as well. I remember him coming to the school out to Miami Jackson. And I have to say, man, he laid that down. When you talk about recruiting, he was strictly business. You know, he talked with his hands. And let me tell you something. If you want to come to Alabama and you want to learn something, he was giving it to him, but the kid ended up going. Yeah, right. And he went to tell him. I mean, he recruited him well, but the kid ended up going to Auburn, which was fine. But I remember he was a part of that kick return. So talk to us about the fan base. How did you feel? What was the outlook on the season? I mean, not the season. I mean, the outlook on the total season and everything else.
That was a gut punch in that Iron Bowl. That was probably one of the ones for me that hurt. You know, just as many as we haven't lost very many games since 2008 at Alabama, but that one hurt. Anytime you lose to that Cal College over on the Plains, we don't take too well to that. So it definitely hurt. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have a brother-in-law who's a big Auburn fan, and he brings this up still to this day. So, he dubs it as the greatest play in college football history, which he's wrong about that. But
that's second and 26. We all know that.
The kick six. That's what they call it. The kick six.
Yeah.
That's tough right there. All right. So he goes and he comes in. And then let's go ahead and just chronicle this thing. So now we talked about that. Like I said, we're into the present. I mean, into the present. I would consider this the present. All right, to where we are now. And I do want to say this about Nick Saban, something that I can appreciate from a coaching standpoint. Because what year does he bring in Lane Kiffin? I'm trying to remember what year is that? 2014. That's what I thought. So now we're at the point where he brings in Lane Kiffin. And I have to say this about Nick Saban and his staffs that he's had. There's always been a lot of change and turnover in his staffs, but his product has been consistent.
No doubt.
And that is a testament to, I guess, the culture he's built. That's a testament to the standards that he has set. Regardless of who comes in, everybody fits in. It's almost kind of like a Bill Belichick type thing about the system. Wes Walker goes out, Amidella comes in. This person goes out, that person comes in, but the product remains the same. And the common denominator is, I guess, Nick Saban, and then the common denominator for the Patriots was Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And we're definitely going to find out how this experiment works out here in the future. But I'm just saying, so I'm just giving my hats off to him. So then you got Lane Kiffin that comes in. What do you guys take from Lane Kiffin on that part when he comes in? What were your guys feeling about it? Lane? Perfect segue right there, Lane.
To be honest with you, I don't really like Lane Kiffin just because of the pompous individual that he is. He's got a pretty crappy personality, but he was a hell of a coach and offensive coordinator anyways, and I'm very excited that he's back in the SEC now. But in terms of his tenure at Alabama, I mean, he transformed our offense into something that I've never seen before. He made Jake Coker look like a All-American quarterback, and he made it look good, really.
He did some exciting things, and people say this about Lane. I don't know him personally, but it's some people that's like, I guess it's kind of, I'm not saying he's like Mike Leach, but some people are a little different. They do things a little different. but what's the end result? You know, how did he fare? I mean, he did extremely well there, and so he got the job done. But again, he leaves and goes on, and then another guy comes in, and another guy comes in, and you continue with the same product. Jake, you got anything to say in regards to that?
About Lane Kiffin, I wanted to make the comment about the development that, he took, Sims and Blake Sims and made him a great quarterback that year in 2014, I believe it was, or 2015, whichever one it was. But, he was a player development quarterback, and it just showed. I mean, he took guys that, them having quarterback experience like Blake Sims and just made him to be a great quarterback.
Great. Anybody? Hunter? Just talking about coaching changes, the staff, his support staff around him changing, and what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's just a product of success and something you're going to have to deal with when you have these high-profile coaches that, I mean, who can blame them for taking these, multi-million-dollar jobs? And I think it's really incredible how, for the most part, he's just been able to hire the next best guy, and there's really not much fall off between, coordinator to coordinator.
Right. And so now we're in the 2015, right? So we in the 2015 and everything, and we get what is it? They're in the national championship again in 2015, correct?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Jake Coker, man, that kid had some guts.
Yeah. So okay,
Tough
talk to us, Ricky, about it.
That 2015-2016 season there, we at the beginning of the season wasn't sure who our quarterback was going to be. We were looking at several guys, Cooper Bateman. There was just a real uncertainty there. Jake Coker had transferred in from Florida State the season before, but lost the job to Blake Sims, like Jake there had mentioned a few moments ago. That loss to Ole Miss, Jake Coker came in right there in that second half of that game against Ole Miss. We were down. I mean, we were down and close to out, really, when Coker came into that game. And I think that the courage and the desire to win that he showed the team that day really decided that quarterback battle. He came out there on the field that day against Ole Miss and won that quarterback job. And we never really looked back after that Ole Miss loss. Wasn't long after that, we were down in Athens, Georgia, in the rain, playing a good, solid Georgia team. And I think that was the point in that season when everybody really knew, okay, this is legit. They've turned this thing around. We're going to have a shot at the national championship. Seeing how we fared against Georgia and how we bounced back, that team just across the board was full of a bunch of kids that just really had guts. They wanted to win, and they were willing to lay it all on the line to do what they had to do to play winning football. And that's the type of team that really makes Nick Saban happy. That 2015-16 team, the discipline, the togetherness, the leadership that we saw step forward, that defense was incredible too. We've talked a lot about Coker and that offense, but that defense right there around 2015-16 really started to take shape. Guys like Jonathan Allen, the list goes on and on and on, the NFL draft picks from that year. So that 15-16 was really a pivotal, big year for Alabama on multiple fronts there.
I got you. And then that was the game that's against Clemson, correct? Yep.
That's right.
So I mean, it was a close one now, 45-40. I mean, it was some points being put up there on the board and everything else, and it came out to be
onside kick.
It was a lot that happened in that game. But here's the thing, right? And I know we're talking about Alabama, but this is where Clemson starts making the change and becoming, I think, was it Clemson and Alabama, or Clemson were always in it for the past, I think they were 3 straight or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's incredible to see what Clemson's done. There again, an Alabama guy in Dabo Swinney getting a chance up in Clemson to take that program to a new height, and he's done a fantastic job. It's interesting on the Clemson subject. You hear a lot of people talking about who might eventually replace Nick Saban, that's a name that, you hear quite often, Dabo Swinney, but I oftentimes wonder if Dabo would even want to try to follow Nick Saban. I really don't see why he would leave what he has at Clemson to come and face all that pressure down in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I don't know. We're gonna get into that part, but I mean that's a great question, and we definitely gonna explore that. I saw Jake shaking his head, but we're gonna talk about that here in a second. So now we get into that. We're talking here. So that was 15, and then in 17, they get into the playoffs again, which now this is the playoff era, right? Where we're starting to do playoff. They did the playoffs and so forth. All right, and then they go through, and then this is now 2018. Okay, and they go and play, and that was 18. That's right. So now let's talk about here. We get to the part now. This is the championship where the change comes. Am I correct?
That's it.
All right. So we're in this game, and I'm actually at the coaching convention. Oh man, was it Charlotte, North Carolina, or was it Tennessee? I can't remember. But anyway, the national coaching convention is always the week of the national championship, right? So all these coaches, 5,000-6,000 coaches, are in one place in the whole 9 yards. We may have been in Tennessee at the Gaylord Hotel, but anyhow, we're there. The bar is jam-packed. Everybody's going in, this, that, and the other. All right? So let's talk about that game. Let's talk about the decision. So, Hunter, what were your thoughts, all right, about Hurts' gameplay, just say that season? Let's just talk that season a little bit.
Well, so if the first time I realized it was the Vanderbilt game, and I really think we won that game 56-0. But when Tua came in the field, and he did a little spin move, Johnny Manziel type thing, but it was just different. The ball came out different, the offense was different, and you would see that every time he came in. And I mean, Jalen just didn't have the downfield accuracy. Great player, great leader, great runner. I don't want to talk bad about him, but you saw the first half of that game, he just didn't have it.
All right, Lane, talk to us, man. What were your thoughts as you watching this game, and you said, with this season rather, and was the writing on the wall or what?
Jalen, we can't thank him enough for what he did for us that year. I mean, he's the reason we were in the national championship, and we give him all of our thanks for that. But one of his issues was that his downfield vision, he would always eye one receiver, which usually was I can't remember who it was, but he would always look at one receiver, and if that receiver wasn't open, it's like he wouldn't even look for a check down. Yeah, Calvin Ridley. So if Ridley wouldn't open, it seemed like he would just take off running and wouldn't look for a check down to go to or anything like that. And that just, it just kind of came back to bite us in the butt eventually, in my opinion, in the national championship game that year.
And then Jake.
Talk about Hurts.
We're talking about that season. How did you feel about the writing on the wall? Was the writing on the wall for the change? Were you begging for the change kind of in the season because he was cutting it close, or were you saying, you know what, he's a veteran kind of dude, we can still deal with it? Every sometimes things get rocky, he'll correct the course.
I've been a Jalen fan for forever, and I was kind of in and out about that because my love for Jalen, and then we had this young kid, Tua on, so I was fighting the losing battle, but man, it was, it just seemed like the change was needed, so. But Jalen, we're going to talk about. I'm sure we'll talk about it too. But Jalen got to get his revenge in the SEC championship game a year later, so it was great to see that.
Sure. And Ricky,
I'm ready.
I know you're ready.
Jalen Hurts, and this goes back to something we were talking about a few minutes ago, Coach Lane Kiffin. I think that Lane Kiffin being Jalen's offensive coordinator the first year he was at Alabama actually almost at times became a disservice to Jalen. Lane, from everything that I understood, guys, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, basically installed hot routes for Jalen. He told Jalen before the snap, this is how the defense is lined up, this is who you're looking for. As a freshman, when Jalen needed to be taking those developmental steps, Lane Kiffin was basically playing quarterback for Jalen Hurts that season. And I think that's when we got into those tougher defenses towards the end of the year, the Auburns, the Mississippi States, the LSUs. That's when we really started seeing his inability, like Lane said, to really go through his progressions and see what was going on in front of him. And I think that for me, I could kind of feel that something was going to have to give. I remember even though we beat Auburn that year, man, it was a nerve-wracking experience for me watching that particular Iron Bowl because there were times when we would just stall out completely on offense. And I'm sitting here like, man, we've got Calvin Ridley and an incredible stable of running backs, a great offensive line. What's going on here? Everybody was talking about this true freshman, this 17, 18-year-old kid from Hawaii. And I think the writing was on the wall, Coach, there. And I think that I even told you earlier today, I'm glad I don't get paid to make those decisions. But I think everybody knew when Nick Saban took Jalen Hurts out of that game and put Tua in, that was kind of the culmination of a few weeks' worth of games that kind of started to make us think something's going to have to give here soon.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, and I'm going to tell you this from Coach being on the sideline myself. So here's the deal, right? I mean, it takes a set now to do what he did because Tua is young, right? At that time, young. He was young. You're not. It's not like you playing in a game and somebody gets hurt. So that even adds a different dimension and a different element to you even coming in the game. So it's not like, a guy goes out with an injury and you coming in to play so you don't feel a certain way. You're talking about 18, maybe just turning 18, 19 at the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting my chance to go in the game on the highest stage. It's not a regular game in the season.
The one.
It's not a blowout. Right. This is the one. And I'm going in because you feel that the guy in front of me is not cutting it.
The SEC Offensive Freshman Player of the Year, Jalen Hurts is not cutting it. No pressure.
Right. And then you're bringing me in to try and make sure we win this game with only a half left. So you talk about pressure cooker. This dude here can take any kind of pressure. But with all that being said, so now we're at this game and we're in the, like I said, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 2,000 coaches. So, if you get a room full of coaches, everybody got an opinion, right, about what should be done, what shouldn't be done, this, that, and the other. They need to run this route. Oh, my God, they took him out, blah, 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 blah. So they take him out, they bring him in, and they show a picture of Jalen Hurts' face, right? And this is where I knew, you know what, that kid got something. Yep. And I say kid because at that time, that's what I'm talking about. When they showed that close-up, because I don't think even the announcers knew what was really happening. And then when they really figured out what's going on, I guess they got like a little sideline spotter that's kind of listening, and they told him upstairs, hey, this dude is getting yanked. And they found the cameraman to put the zoom in on his face, and he stood there just like, I'm going to take that, coach. Like, I'm going to take that.
Yep.
Mm. And to go through and they win that game, with the throw and all of that stuff, and to see him throw his helmet and run to the middle of the field, that just showed, character through the roof, man, for that guy. So I take my hat off to Jalen Hurts just for being the person he is and his family that raised him just to be that kind of guy. Because trust me, you go from being the man to the man on the sideline cheering for the man. And that's hard for anybody to swallow at any level. I know a lot of people would have just ran off to the sideline because they didn't want to go through the media about being taken out. He stood there, he answered the questions, he did all of that. So that was extremely great. Let me say this. So we get to that part now. So now let me talk a little bit about recruiting with Nick Saban and his formula. What do you guys think his formula is, especially offensively? I know what it is defensively, but offensively, what do you guys think? And then I'm going to give my 2 cents about what I think the formula is, and then maybe something I don't agree with now. Hunter? Hunter? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, give me your 2 cents about his recruiting formula. What is it that he's, so far as the type of guys he's looking for in the recruiting? Because we kind of got through that era of the championships and so forth. The recruiting era, and the things that he's into, or the style of players that he's looking to recruit. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. Sorry, you broke out up there the first time.
No problem.
I think something you can look at with Saban's players over the whole time, but especially now, is just athletic freaks and quality people. The kid that went to Colorado, we've been burned a few times with them. Just kind of head cases that have came in. And I think he's really focused on bringing in good quality kids that are also, the diamonds in the rough athletic freaks.
Jake, talk to us.
Yeah, I think his philosophy, and it's been consistent since he's been down there. That is, run the ball. He wants big offensive linemen to run or make a hole for our big linebacker or big running backs, and the running backs, man, they just blow over you. Linebackers, corners, defensive linemen. I mean, he wants to run the ball to establish that pass. Now, recently, when we got to it, it went more to a pass run option type deal. And when you have a talent, once in a generational talent like Tua, that you form your playbook and your players around to him. So,
Yep.
So I don't know how it's going to be like this year. We got Matt Jones potentially, and Bryce Young. Bryce Young's more of a guy kind of like Tua, but if Mac starts the season, I think we're going to run the ball a whole lot more, and that's what I feel like what we need to do anyway, because that is Alabama's bread and butter.
All right, Lane. I know it's a delay, so I'm trying to give him a second to come on in. Or maybe it's not. All right, Ricky, I'm going to finish it out with you, then I'm going to give my 2 cents.
All right, so I saw you looking when he started to mention the change in philosophy, offensive philosophy there with Nick Saban. And you and I have talked about it before, Coach, how he's a chameleon of sorts. But I'm going to tell you this, the change that we saw when we had Tua at quarterback, I think at times we may have depended on Tua a little too much.
Yeah,
I think that Alabama got away from some of the things that we had established as being the Alabama way, a dominating, suffocating defense, a run game that you can lean on heavy to control the clock and set up play action. I think that that full-on shift in philosophy almost kind of played negatively against us at times when we were kind of getting out physicaled by some teams last season. So that's something that I've definitely noticed, and I'd even be interested to hear what you think about some of those games, Coach, where we seem to be getting out physicaled right there up front.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, here's my 2 cents. I'm gonna just say this because I'm a Miami fan, and so here's what I've always realized. Right. One thing that Nick Saban has always done well in recruiting is he's always recruited the state of Florida heavy.
No doubt.
Regardless, I don't care when he was at Michigan State to LSU. I mean, I could probably name 10 dudes from Michigan State. I can name probably 15 dudes that went to LSU that's just out of Florida or even just South Florida, and probably a couple of sprinkled up towards Jacksonville and so forth that I didn't even know about. And then now at Alabama. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to make a comparison so you guys don't beat me up. And I'm not saying I believe this, he's just part of that era. That when Miami Hurricanes was on top, this is what they had offensively and defensively, but offensively. They had a very strong running game. and they had a very dominant receiver.
Yep.
They always had a bunch
tall.
of good receivers. From the Andre Johnson, the guy that can stretch the field, a 4-3 guy. And that same thing started to take place when you got the Julio Jones. Nick Saban did the same thing when he went to LSU with who? Dwayne Bowe and Jamarcus Russell. Right? The running game, they had smaller guys at LSU like Skylar Greens and the other guys. Those were smaller guys, the guys that could dink and dunk, get you your first down, run your hitch, but it was always a 6'3 guy on the field that could take the top off, and they had a stable in the running game.
Yep.
He takes that same philosophy now when you come to Alabama. Look at the running backs, right? Because think about the time I'm just saying. Miami was, at the time, that last one was Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee. Frank Gore was a baby.
Yeah.
Right? Tyrone Moss. Frank Gore was a true freshman. Tyrone Moss, all those guys. And then on the receiving end, like you said, you had Andre Johnson and those guys. So I'm saying all that to say this. So now he goes to Alabama. He comes and get the Calvin Ridleys. The what's the other guy? Jared Judy.
Amari Cooper. Yeah, Jared Judy.
From Northwestern. Amari Cooper from Northwestern. The guys that can run, take the top off, right? But here's what was always scary about their offense. And I know Nick Saban's a defensive guy, but I've always said this about coaching. In order to beat your opponent, you have to be your opponent.
Yep.
And what he understands is, if I can pound this rock and you got to bring more people in the box to stop a Mark Ingram, I can take the top off your head with Julio Jones.
Yep.
If you gotta get in here with a TJ Yeldon, not Mark Henry, what's my big man from Yulee? Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Derrick Henry. All those guys like Derrick from Yulee, Florida. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. So if you could pound this rock and have some form of a two-back set, you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can't serve two masters. I got 11, you got 11. I can't stack the box and cover this guy double cover. I can't double the cover guy and stack the box.
Yep. Go ahead and bring that safety up.
Yeah, once you bring him up, I got a guy that's going to take the top off. And so to your point, Jacob, what you were just saying was that they got into a change with Tua. Now, I'm not mad about it because I always believe a great coach must be able to implement plays that
adapt.
Adapt. Exactly right. They must be able to adapt to their players. Okay. But one thing I know about winning football games is you have to be able to run the ball. If you cannot establish a running game, and I can tell you this, I've been a part of it, and I've been on the other side of the field of it. Ain't nothing like going into a game, a dude running 3-4 yards a chunk, and I can't do anything to stop it, even if I do got 10 in the box.
Mm-hmm.
That's heartbreaking. It's diminishing. It's depleting your
will breaking.
You people want to give up. You understand? Yep. And so I think that is something that, in my opinion, from watching, and I guarantee you guys have watched way more Alabama football than I have, that is happening is that they kind of got away from the formula.
No doubt.
In essence. And so I was just simply saying all of that. Let me see here. Got a couple of things before we get into the future. That was the present. And then we're going to jump in here to the future here, and we're going to see what's going on. I had a great question from somebody. All right. I just saw it. Doggone it. It's hard when you're the producer, the host, and everything else.
Wearing all the hats.
Oh, man. Hold on. Let me take this one on. Let me see. I just saw this was a great question, and I wanted to give him his props. Oh, here it is. Perfect. Oh, thought that was it. Man, I'll just say, guys, if you're on here right now, thank you so much. We got comments out the thing coming everywhere. And if you're on Facebook, please share this thing. YouTube, man, please make sure you subscribe. We want to get this thing rolling. I am trying to find that we got over 150 comments. I want to say,
Coach, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know that first comment from Sherry Bevins tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know that's your boy's mom. So Roll Tide runs deep in the family. She's down just north of Atlanta, Georgia. That was Mom tuning in tonight. Mom? So my mom, we appreciate you, Mama.
Talking about this lady here,
that's the one.
My man. Actually, my oldest son, always Alabama super fan.
Roll Tide.
Well,
That's
hello.
awesome.
How are you? You've done an excellent job, man. Excellent. All right. I'm trying to find out. And just so happened you said that I was right on her comment. All right. But anyway, I remember the comment. The comment was, and I'm going to ask you guys this. I believe it was from Demond Tiggs that says, why would a senior want to choose to go to Alabama? I wanted to post it to give him his credit, but I couldn't find it.
A high school senior?
Yes. Why would a high school senior like to go to Alabama?
Well, just real quickly, I'll chime in there. I think Alabama at this point sells itself. It's not nearly as difficult of an answer to give now as it would have been if somebody had asked that question to Mike Shula and he had to give them that answer. The academic support, I think the entire experience of playing football at Alabama, from academic support to the training and the medical staff, the facilities, everything that young men need to be successful to leave that period of time in their life where they are boys and enter into that period of time when they're expected to become men, they have it in front of them at the University of Alabama. I think Nick Saban has done a tremendous job of making sure that we had the best team doctors, the best tutors academically, the best facilities. And it really just sells itself at this point. If you're asking me, I think it's just one of those situations where you can just look at Alabama, and if you pay attention, that'll kind of answer itself.
All right, perfect. Jake, you have any insight?
Yeah, Hunter would be the better one to tell us about the tradition and the fun stuff on campus to do. But I was just going to say, I'm with Ricky. Really, history-wise, like Ricky said, it can sell itself. Even when we was going through our bad times, recruiting wasn't that great, but the tradition, the spirit, the history of that program just sells itself. And now since Saban's there, I mean, that is a leeway. If you want to go in the NFL and be an NFL quarterback, running back, whatever in the NFL, your leeway is getting into Alabama and getting that experience under Saban and the coaches.
No doubt.
Lane, I'm going to finish up with Hunter about the culture. But Lane?
I mean, is the question regarding why? Is it what was just posted up? Why would a high school senior come to Alabama?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, if you look, I mean, we spend millions and millions of dollars on the facilities at the program, and that, it's just a testament to how much they care about these kids and, how comfortable they are while they're there. Bryant Hall, which is where they stay, is state of the art. I don't know if anybody here has ever been there, but it's a very nice facility. And I just feel like, we take care of them better or as good as anybody else in the country takes care of them.
No doubt.
I got you. And now, Hunter, I know you're actually on campus, but you are in the grad program, so it may be just a tad different, but you're still right in the heart of it. Because I know when I was in grad school, I wasn't trying to go to the frat party, you know what I mean? But hey, some of us like the red cups, you know what I'm saying? So, but with all that being said, I know you're right there on campus, you're right there, and you get a chance to talk about that same thing, but as well as the culture of the school itself. When it's not football season, what things guys maybe some things that guys would enjoy.
So, if we're taking football out of it, Tuscaloosa is an awesome town to be in your early 20s and late teens, and the campus is amazing. There's no building
Beautiful,
that's not state of the art. They cut the grass every day. Like, there's never you're never like, oh man, this building's kind of looking shabby. And if you see one, you bet it's going to be renovated soon. But there's just a culture here that I've been to every SEC football stadium except Missouri. And there's just something here that nowhere else has. And I want to say it's almost like a family type atmosphere, but not like that fake family they got down in Auburn that they
exactly
their family. Like,
yeah,
you meet someone. So everywhere I went in the Navy, I'd wear an Alabama hat and I would meet someone everywhere.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, and it's worldwide. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than whatever label you want to put on it. It just means more.
Well, that's huge, man. That's what it's all about. And one thing I have to say is, I guess one of the common things that is always said about a lot of the recruits when they choose to go to Alabama, they always say it feels like family, right? I remember looking at the Julio Jones, just doing my research for this program. I remember looking at him when he signed. He said it feels like family, because a lot of people questioned, why would you pick that school in the state in which it was in at the time? You know, who is Nick Saban? How you know you're going to win there? How do you know? And he said it feels like family. So that's huge that you say that as well. So let me jump into this real quick. Let me see here. Let me see. I got a question. We had a real quick issue. Stacy had an issue, a technical difficulty, but he is watching us now from Facebook, and he's got a question. I'm gonna make sure, Stacy, I get that in at the end, man. I'm sorry that happened to you, but you definitely right here. So if you do have something, man, you're more than welcome to hit us up with it.
I'll say too, you were asking about basically why Alabama. Like Hunter was saying, it's just something different. When I get into Tuscaloosa and get walking by, you know, the Walk of Champions, Bryant Denny down on University Boulevard, it just feels different. Life feels different. The air feels different. I really can't explain it to you, but I can say that if you are, whether you're an athlete or just a student, if you ever have an opportunity to continue your academic or your athletic career at the University of Alabama, more power to you. I would definitely seriously at least consider it. You just really can't go wrong, you know, educationally or athletics-wise at the University of Alabama, at least in my opinion.
I mean, I hear a lot of good things, man. There's a guy, I started to do it, but I didn't want to get a copyright strike. But there's a well-known comedian named Ricky Smiley, and he is an Alabama fan. And actually, in one of his skits, he does this whole thing about Roll Tide, Roll Tide. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it, man, please go on YouTube and check it out. I started to play it, but I said, man, I don't know Ricky Smiley. I know Ricky Green, but I don't know Ricky Smiley. He might give me a doggone copyright strike. So
Ricky Green used to listen to Ricky Smiley on the morning show every day, so I know who you're talking about, Ricky Smiley.
That's right, man. So he's an awesome comedian, and like I say, shout out to him. But I know he had some things where I think his daughter got injured, but I know that's the whole thing. But our prayers are out for him and his family. Let me say this real quick. We got a shout out from somebody right here. I think one of you guys may know this young lady right here. Cassidy Thomas says, "Thank you so much, Coach Hayes, for having my husband Jake and his cousin on there, guys on there. No problem. Anytime. No problem. Anytime. All right. So now let's jump into this piece because we're about to get into the end here. So now let's go to the present where we are. We know we are now. Let's talk about the future of Nick Saban. Okay. Here's my question. I guess everybody wants to know. He always says he doesn't know until he knows.
Yep.
When does he retire?
I got you on that, Coach. So, you know, I'm the recruiting guy for Tide Talk Sports. That's what I do. I recently had a conversation with an assistant coach there in the state of Florida, down in your territory. Coach Saban, before this COVID thing all set in, was sitting in Xavier Sori's living room. I'm sure you're familiar with Sori there, Coach. But
yeah, I actually did a video on him.
There you go. He asked Xavier if he was familiar with who Bobby Bowden was. Of course, Xavier said, "Yeah, Coach, I know who Bowden was." He said, "Do you know how old he was when he quit coaching?" Xavier said, "Nah, Coach, I'm not really sure." He said, "Well, I think what he said was he was 82, and I'm looking to smash that." So,
and what is he now? Is he 70 yet?
He's right there close if he's not. So getting on up in age, but doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. Had that hip replacement surgery to keep him in the game. So hopefully we'll get to have him for another decade.
Hold on, let me get my research team on it. Y'all get on that right quick. Oh, they real quick with it. He's 68 years old. 68 years old. October 31st, 1951, if you want to send him a card.
So we got a good 14, 15 years left.
Oh, my goodness. 14, 15 years. Okay. Well, let me do this. I'm gonna say this. Anybody else want to jump in?
I think Ricky covered it.
Lane?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping what Ricky says is how it goes, because that would be great. Another 14, 15 years of making everybody else hate us more.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, Hunter. Anybody?
Yeah, I've just heard the same thing. Most of the coach still is 85, 90. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him.
Well,
we know Kirby Smart's out here telling all these recruits that Nick Saban's getting ready to retire, but I'm sitting here telling y'all that's a lie. The devil is a lie. Nick Saban is not about to retire. He's going to win 8, 9, 10 more championships, and you need to come get you a ring while y'all out here watching this, recruits. I know you're watching. The devil is a lie. Coach Saban ain't about to retire.
Oh, my goodness. Well, here's my 2 cents, man, and I'm going to just say this in regards to the future. Here's how I always looked at it. He is a true competitor. He wants to compete, right? He wants to win. As we all know, he has how many? 6 national championships, 5 with Alabama, 1 with LSU.
Correct.
But the houndstooth hat wearing guy has
the bear.
The bear has how many? 6.
Got to break it.
I don't. He has 6 at Alabama, correct? I think, in my heart of hearts,
yes,
is if Nick Saban ties him in the very near future.
Don't put that evil on me, Coach.
I'm not putting. Well, hold on.
Coach?
I'm gonna mute your mic, then. Here it is. I just gotta say that's what I feel, because I'm gonna just tell you. I'm gonna just be honest, and I'm gonna say why I'm saying this. If he ties him within the next 2 years, he will continue to break it. Then he will retire whenever he decides to break it. But what I'm going to say from a coaching standpoint is sometimes it's not what you have, it's sometimes what you can give, right?
Exactly.
And I do want to say this. Like, when I looked at Bobby Bowden, I'm not saying he's not a bad coach at all. I think he's an excellent coach.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes you just become a figurehead.
Yep.
Right? I've been up there with Bobby Bowden sitting there with the index card, right? Chewing Bubblicious and writing notes down. Don't even have a headset.
Yep.
And I'm not knocking Bobby Bowden. What I'm saying is there's time to get off the horse and let the next general ride.
Yep.
You know, with the whole thing with the Jimbo and them sitting in this in coaching waiting and how that whole thing went out. Same thing with Joe Paterno in Penn State. You know, you're sitting there. What value are you adding? You have to ask yourself realistically. Now, 69 is not old in coaching, of course. I mean, I think he still got some significant years. But what value are you adding to the program besides being an iconic figure? Because just because I'm an icon doesn't mean I'm adding to the program now, right?
Exactly. And, you know, Saban has said it several times that as long as he feels like he can continue to make a difference in the lives of these young men, then he will coach. But when he gets to the point where he feels like he can no longer be a difference in their life, then he'll hang it up. And I think, respectively, I think it's fair to say we could, you know, anywhere from 4 to 7 years would just tickle me to death. So,
right.
Absolutely.
We got here. Corey Lewis says, can he keep up with recruiting for the next 3 years? And listen, that's huge, because it's not like the NFL where you go to a draft, you know, you get yourself prepared, you send the office. He's jumping on a plane, flying here and there, got to go here, got to, go to these home visits as the head coach. You got to do all these different things, man. And I'm going to just take care of a couple of these, and we're going to kind of wrap this thing up. I'm going to leave that alone. Roddy Richardson says, Roddy Richardson, Nick Saban already tied Bear Bryant. Okay, is that true? Yes, in the total number, but not at the same school. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, Roddy. We're not saying that he doesn't. He has as many. That is correct. But we're talking about being at Alabama. He has 5 currently. Bear Bryant has 6, that's what we're talking about. All right. Look at me, boy. I'm sounding like I know some history around here, man.
You might have been talking to Ricky.
You kind of sound like a gump.
A gump.
Yeah, tier 1. That's our new gump.
That's
Yeah,
right.
man. And listen, let me tell you something about the gump word when you said that real quick. So the guy did today, Anquin Barnes, right? He's from Montgomery.
Yep.
And a guy left in the comments said, yeah, he's a gump. I thought that was short for Montgomery. I thought I didn't know, but I thought that was something they call people from Montgomery. Yeah, he's from the gump. You know what I mean? Like in Miami, we say we from the crib, you know?
Yep.
So I learned something, man. All right, here we go. Let me go through a couple of these comments. We'll kind of round this thing out. Roddy Richardson. He said he's already tired Paul Bear Bryant. I don't know, Roddy. We got to talk to you, man. Maybe I'm misinformed. Roddy Richardson said Saban has already tired Paul Bear Bryant. Maybe he just missed the comment I just said on there. Let me see here. I got to talk to you, Anthony. Keep that energy. We'll see you in Atlanta in 2021. Well, who are you, Anthony? Who is we?
Yeah.
Hey, you about
Let
to
me know. Let me know because I want all the smoke. Yeah, let me know who's we. I want all the smoke.
Hey, you about to get the tire rolling up in here, man, Anthony. You about to get the tire rolling, man. Okay, let me see here.
Better not say Bulldogs.
That's Miami, ain't it?
I don't know. All right, here, real quick, we're going to do this kind of in conclusion. I do want to bring this question up to you guys because we did have one of our guys. He couldn't finish it because of
technical
difficulties. But Stacy Allen Blackwood says, I got a question for the fellas. Why do you love working with yours truly?
I've said it before. I think we've got a great team all together. Stacy kind of was the first one to reach out and gauge my interest about the whole Todd Talk Sports deal. And I just think he provides good leadership and good direction. He knows what he wants to do. And we're kind of in the process, like he talked about earlier, in the infancy of building this brand, the Todd Talk Sports brand. But we're not going anywhere, and we've got some guys that are dedicated and, can give you all of that breaking news and the analysis that you're looking for as an Alabama fan. And I'll go ahead and mention, too, no monthly subscription. So we're doing this for y'all because we love Alabama football and Alabama athletics in general. And Stacy's a big part of that. We really appreciate Stacy, no doubt.
Hunter, talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, Stacy's the one kind of got me involved with this and asked if I'd do it. And, I mean, I wouldn't know any of these guys without him, I guess. And just glad we all kind of connected through him.
I believe he said he met you at a baseball game.
Yeah. So part of being a tier 1, you have to have a secondary sport, and football is my secondary sport. So
no football, only gump.
Yeah, no, you can usually find me at Sewell Thomas Stadium if you ever need me.
All right, Jake, talk to us.
Well, like I said earlier, me and Stacy are family. We're first cousins. So, we kind of had a couple years ago, we just decided to start a podcast, and we talked about that earlier. But, yeah, he's like Ricky said, he's the leader in this thing. I am like I said, the vice president who don't do nothing right now. So I guess I'm the pretty face of the bunch. But
that's it. Jay's got that pretty face. He just be hanging out.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, he's family, and when he come to me, we actually talked about it before and about starting a podcast. But when we first started it, I never thought it would get this big, and I'm thankful since I'm part of it as well. I'm thankful for each and every one of these guys here, for what they've done for us and being there for us. So thank you guys.
No doubt. We got some big stuff coming for you Alabama fans. I'm going to get out on the road some this fall and cover some of these recruits on Friday nights. Really looking forward to that and really looking forward to seeing where this thing goes. And, I just kind of wrapping it up here. I'd like to thank Coach Hayes again. For those of you that don't know, which you should already know, Coach Hayes does the evaluations on these prospects, highlight films. And in my opinion, Coach Hayes is the best one doing it right now. I haven't seen anybody else that can bring the amount of knowledge in breaking down exactly what makes each prospect great at that position and what it takes to be great specifically at what they do. So, Coach, we really appreciate you, and I look forward to getting back with you again and checking out all your videos as they come out. You know, I've got that subscription bell rung, so I'm just waiting on them.
Man, hey, I appreciate it, man. God, Leah, hold on. I got a wiper.
I got them.
Had to wipe a tear, man.
Somebody got a Kleenex?
Yeah, man, you touched me, man. So I'm gonna just do this, guy. I didn't want to leave you off that lane. Talk to Lane. Talk to us about working with Stacy.
Yeah, I do appreciate the opportunity that him and Jake gave me. I basically responded to a Twitter ad and wrote him a little piece, and I guess they liked it because here I am, you know. And if you think we're having a lot of fun here, you should see our Twitter group chat we got.
We might not want to put that out.
A whole lot in there.
Yeah, let's keep that.
I heard that.
That's Tide Talk only.
So real quick, what Anthony Reed was talking about, and I believe, hold on, I just saw Stacy put it in there. What he was talking about was Bama and Miami open next season with each other. So
okay, let's go.
Yeah,
we ain't friends no more, man. We ain't friends no more.
I'm gonna have to get a hold of my good buddy George Teague and see if he want to get in on this discussion. I think Coach Teague might have something to say.
Cut the production off. There's no more friendship.
That's a wrap.
Hey, no, but I'm just teasing, man. I can't wait to that game, man. Definitely we're going to have some fun with it because, like I said, both schools are doing a great job when it comes to recruiting. Stacy Blackwood says lights out. Yeah, it's lights out, man.
Lights out.
Let me see here. Stacy says in conclusion here, y'all bringing tears to my eyes. So that's awesome. All right, real quick, man, I do want to say this, guys. I want you guys to get your final words out. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'm going to say this at the end. It has definitely been a pleasure having you guys on here. I saw one of the comments. I can't get to it right now, but it said that Damon Tiggs, I believe, said, guys, it was a very great show, very informative, learned a lot. So thank you guys for coming on. We definitely want to do this again. We may even do one before the Miami game.
Let's go.
Do it.
If you're ready, I'm ready. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
I'll just talk a trash. But yeah, man. So we'll definitely get into this, man. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm gonna let you guys actually have the final word when we finish. But like I said, when we go out, don't leave. We'll talk here in a second. We got a lot of people that came on here. I don't know what they're talking about. I wish you guys could see it, man. But anyway, they
get live in the comment section.
Listen, the guys are going in at each other, man. There's a V Willie going in with Anthony Reed talking to this person. It's crazy out here. I'm crazy, Ricky crazy. The whole place is crazy. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and finish out in conclusion. As well as I'm just gonna kind of go around the screen, starting with you, Ricky, and finishing off with you.
All right. So, just in closing, I'd like to say you see the graphic up there in front of you. TideTalkSports.com is your newest source for everything Alabama athletics. I do most of the recruiting stuff. We've got guys that cover every aspect of athletics within the University of Alabama's programs. And we're really excited. We look forward to getting to know some of you guys. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Bama RLG. Follow the rest of the guys. You can search hashtag Team Tide Talk to kind of see all of our Twitter content in one place. And, with that being said, I'm going to roll on out of here, Coach. We appreciate you. Had a blast. And I'm sure me and you'll be getting to talking some more recruiting here very soon.
I'll definitely. Go ahead, Hunter. Talk to us. What you got to say in conclusion?
Yeah, Ricky pretty much said it. So I'm just going to say gump hard, gump often, and roll tide.
Roll tide.
Jake.
Yeah, thanks, Coach, for having us on. We really enjoyed being here. It's almost a 2-hour-long episode, but it was. Yeah, and it was very fun. But yeah, just keep up with us, guys, on TideTalkSports.com. Keep up with us on Twitter. We're more active on Twitter than we are anywhere else. But we do have Facebook and Instagram as well. Same Tide Talk Sports. Look up for them, both of them as well. But thank you guys for all the fandom, I guess you could say. And roll Tide.
Mr. Lane.
Yeah, Coach, we do appreciate you. I've had a lot of fun here today. As everybody else has said, follow us on Twitter. We give you everything, even golf occasionally.
Yep.
Basically, we like to keep things steady and streaming as much as we can. So we do appreciate you, Coach, for having us on here, though.
No
Hey,
problem,
Coach.
man. Huh?
Coach, I'm gonna just say this before I leave. You know what? The Miami Hurricanes, the wind blows real hard in them hurricanes sometimes, but really all that does is get the tide rolling, brother. So I'm gonna see you in Atlanta.
Hey, I don't know if I'm gonna have tickets to the game, and I don't know what this COVID-19 gonna do, but I might have to jump in the Batmobile, and I might have to meet you guys there.
Let's
You know
go
what I
link
mean?
up.
You know what I mean? I get my drone, I fly my drone up there and look down in the stadium and see what's going on, man.
Let's
All
go.
right. Well, guys, real quick, man, like I said again, I do appreciate you coming on. We almost put in the thing was, believe it or not, guys, we had it set for an hour, and I already knew it wasn't gonna go that long because you know how it is when guys get together and talk sports. We talk sports. All
Put
right.
in that work tonight.
Yeah, man. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys very much for coming on again. And in conclusion, I'm gonna go ahead and release you guys and just finish up my stuff at the end. And I thank you very much.
All right, Coach. Roll Tide now.
Thank you, Coach.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
All right, man. I really appreciate it. It was really fun. Like I said, we had a lot of fun. I hope it was very informative. Please, before I get out of here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button for us. We want to grow this channel. We are on the road to 3,000. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but we just started this channel really in April. And so we started this thing in April, and now we're almost to 3,000 subscribers in no time. And that's huge right now. And as you see, we're having big things happening on this channel. We have huge guests coming on. As you see, these guys, many more. We talk about a lot of things. So I put out videos, like they said, every day, which is WRE, where I watch, react, and evaluate to the top talent across the nation. All right. As well as I do WRE Live, where I bring those guys on to this very same type of platform, but I break their film down with them. Okay, so make sure you don't miss that as well. So I may get one of the top recruits from Alabama, as I just did in Ian Jackson, all right, from Prattville. I want to say he's right outside of Montgomery, if I'm not mistaken. We broke it down, check it out. We want to get into the mind of that player. So it was an excellent episode, an excellent show. All right, and then also on Thursdays, I do Coach Hayes Football Live, where we just talk about different football things from this program. We did one on the University of Miami. We talk about COVID-19, recruiting, anything across the board when it comes to football, particularly high school and college. All right. And so with that being said, man, I thank you very much for everything. I appreciate everything. Thank you for everybody watching. And I'll catch you later.